Yeah, I didn't know anything at all about Buddhism when I started. When I decided what I'm going to write in the skin of a Bangkok cop who's going to be a Buddhist, I better find out something about it. And I started out with a few books by the Dalai Lama, who incidentally is not a Theravada Buddhist, he's Mahayana, but it's still Buddhism. And I became fascinated. What I realized that this was an extraordinary science of the mind. Just as today we have our scientists so advanced in certain kinds of things, including neurosurgery and stuff like that. So 2,000 or 2,500 years ago, you had people who were investigating the human mind, the psychology of the human mind, with an incredible depth and the approach very, very scientific, very similar to our own scientific mind, because the Buddha was like a scientist. His mind was completely logical. There's no sort of fancy mysticism at all. And I thought, well, my God, you know, I've been, without really knowing it, I've been looking for something like this. And when I came to start writing the book, I would think, well, okay, I know so much about Buddhism at the moment, just so much, but how would I be reacting if I was a Buddhist, I mean a full-fledged Buddhist, a devout Buddhist, to this particular situation, to this particular world? And so it becomes part of his stream of consciousness as he's moving through Bangkok. And this was a point, really. Instead of having a Buddhist monk who's sort of serenely sitting in a monastery somewhere, developing his mind without having to struggle for food, for example, or accommodation. It's quite marvelous in that sense. You have a monastery, and they go out on bindabat, which is the alms round every morning, and that's how they live. Instead of that, though, what happens if such a person, and Sonchaï has a sort of a monk-like side to him, is actually put in the middle of a dirty modern city with all the problems, or the stress, or the dust, and the corruption, and the temptations, and so on. So that became the lens through which he was looking at life generally, and at Bangkok in particular.